You think you know Dwayne Johnson? The Rock, the box office titan, the most electrifying man in entertainment, the physical embodiment of motivation, but you only know the brand. Before the empire, he was the cripple of self-doubt, cut from the Canadian Football League with just $7 to his name, rejected by Hollywood for being too big, and driven to a debilitating depression by the crushing weight of having failed his legendary wrestling lineage. The muscular, charismatic football failure, that version of Dwayne Johnson died on the road, shattered by rejection and poverty. The man who was resurrected is the legend of the relentless provider, forged in the fires of financial ruin and family legacy to master his own persona and become the highest paid, most bankable star in the world. But pay close attention. By the end of this video, you will learn the one specific psychological weapon he used to defeat the constant fear of returning to zero. To understand the immense, almost manic energy that drives Dwayne Johnson, we must look at the specific nature of his struggle, the humiliation of inherited expectation meeting economic despair. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born into wrestling royalty. His maternal grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia, was a legend, and his father, Rocky Johnson, was a groundbreaking African-American wrestler. This background instilled two things: a deep love for the spectacle of performance and a profound anxiety about the financial precarity that haunted his family despite their fame. Johnson was an exceptional athlete, and his initial ambition was not the theatrical world of the ring, but the stoic discipline of professional football. He earned a full scholarship to the University of Miami, a powerhouse program where he was a defensive lineman. This was his path to stability, his escape from uncertainty. But the ultimate goal, the NFL, eluded him. After going undrafted, he signed a modest contract with the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League, CFL. This was his first profound failure. A serious injury cut short his time there, and his dream died quietly on a practice field. Johnson was released, and when he returned to Miami, he realized he had only $7 in his pocket. This became the psychological anchor of his career, the absolute fear of having nothing. The experience of this failure and financial destitution drove him into a severe, paralyzing depression. The birth of The Rock. This low point forced a critical psychological pivot: the death of the football player and the birth of the performer. With no other options, he swallowed his pride and told his father he wanted to enter the family business: professional wrestling. The initial transition was fraught with danger. Johnson was thrust into the WWE, then WWF, under the name Rocky Maivia. The audience rejected him immediately and venomously. They viewed him as an inauthentic creation, a beneficiary of nepotism, chanting "Die, Rocky, die," and "Rocky sucks." This was a second, more public and more painful rejection of his identity. He was nearly fired. This humiliation was the furnace. Dwayne Johnson realized the core problem. He was trying to be what others wanted him to be. He decided to kill the Rocky Maivia character and unleash his authentic, arrogant, trash-talking self. The Rock was born. The shift was revolutionary. The Rock was magnetic, arrogant, funny, and utterly compelling. He wasn't just performing a character, he was performing an amplified version of his own charisma. He transformed his failure, the nepotism charge, into his strength, the wrestling lineage, and his uncertainty into cocky defiance. He became the biggest star in the industry's history through absolute mastery of self-mythology. The psychological weapon. The success in wrestling was just the training ground for his ultimate transformation: Hollywood. When he first transitioned to film, he was again rejected. He was told he was too big and that his persona wouldn't translate. Studios tried to force him into generic action roles, but Johnson learned the lesson from Rocky Maivia. Never let others define your brand. He developed the most potent psychological weapon that allowed him to defeat the fear of rejection and return to poverty: the absolute manufacturing of relatability. This weapon involves three crucial internal shifts: the transformation of weakness into narrative. Johnson never hides the $7 story, the depression, or the football failure. He weaponizes them. Every motivational post, every interview is anchored in that moment of destitution. By constantly reminding himself and the public of his origin, he grounds his enormous success in humility and hustle. This narrative creates a profound relatability, a billion-dollar star who still operates with the mindset of a broke man fighting for his next meal. This honesty defeats the public's desire to tear down success. The absolute commitment to the brand pillars. The Rock brand is built on three unshakable pillars: hustle, respect, and dedication, HRD. He operates his career like a military campaign, choosing roles that amplify these pillars. This rigorous discipline minimizes risk and maximizes predictability, making him the most bankable star. Studios know exactly what they are getting. The unending ritual of physicality, the mental fortress. Johnson's famous 4 a.m. workouts are not just exercise, they are a psychological ritual. The commitment to his physique is the mental fortress against doubt. The muscle is his armor, reminding him every day that he is in control of his physical destiny. It is the visual proof that the man who had only $7 is now the most prepared, hardest working man in any room. The ultimate legacy of Dwayne Johnson is not just his films, but his complete mastery of his own narrative. He took his failures, his anxieties, and his physical limitations and transformed them into the core identity of his brand. He went from being defined by his family's past to becoming the progenitor of a global empire. The psychological weapon Dwayne Johnson uses to defeat the constant fear of returning to zero is the absolute manufacturing of relatability. By anchoring his immense global success in the humble, powerful narrative of the $7 failure, he disarms the critics and creates an unparalleled, empathetic connection with humanity. He proved that true power comes not from inherited fame, but from the relentless, disciplined, and strategic presentation of one's own authentic self. If this story inspired you to build your own future, hit that subscribe button. Join us as we decode the turning points of history's greatest legends. And tell us in the comments below, which legend story do you want to hear next? We read every comment. See you in the next story.